Hi, this is Naomi Bennett with Learn Astrology Now. We're doing a late forecast for the first quarter of 2011, and there have been many events already. We started out with a bang because we had a solar eclipse on January the 4th, and it was near the node of Pluto, so we had severe weather across the globe, particularly the United States, and massive flooding in Australia. But we continue with the cardinal climax. But this year it's going to be emphasizing Uranus and Pluto, which can give us great advances in technology, but is also an indicator of war and massive people's movements and protests, which we've been seeing in Egypt this year, particularly this month of February, because we have an unusual alignment of the Sun conjunct Mars that is going on in Aquarius that definitely evokes people to action. And we're definitely seeing that in Egypt and most of the Middle East. I think we'll continue on with that. If you'll look at the second half of this broadcast, we'll go on to some specific dates that are very important. But this movement's not over, and we can expect a lot more activity by mid-March to the early part of April, where I think we might see some real change, like Mubarak leaving, but I think it will take a massive amount of protest and persistence with the people to get him out, because he is a stubborn man, Sun in Taurus conjunct Mercury, and he's not going to move until the world makes him. And so he is very, very resistant to that, and is known for his underhanded tactics. So that will continue more than likely through this aspect. And so we'll be probably emphasizing mostly the Egyptian events in this broadcast, but we will be talking in a part 2 later on in a separate video on what the whole year looks like with the major events. But I think Egypt's so important, we need to spend a lot of time with that. So with this, we'll go on to the chart and the timings that I'll emphasize in that. So continue on and look at the chart that's next. This is the chart for the first quarter of 2011, and please note that we started with the solar eclipse on January 4th, and we had extreme weather and a bit of activity then, but the real action starts with the Sun conjunct Mars aspect that's well marked, that I have identified from January 30th to February 8th, but particularly the center of that is from January 31st to February 8th is the very most important part, and that's when the Egyptian protests have started. So we're in the very center of that right now, but there's some very important events during this time period that will definitely be critical. One is this aspect of Sun conjunct Mars is very long with each other. It's in the sign of Aquarius, which is revolution and demand of change, but it will slip into Pisces on February 18th and the 22nd, and it will lose some of its power after that point. So we're likely to see the protests fade during that time. But another very important period will be from February 16th to the 23rd, because that aspect is with Neptune. And during that time, there's likely to be a secret pact or private agreements that no one knows about in the background. So it'd be very bad for the protesters to be making any agreements with the Egyptian authorities, because they will have other ideas in mind. There'll be unknown factors that will not be known to the public for quite a while until later in the month. And then we wind up having more severe activity with the probabilities of major lasting change, starting with a moon wobble that is from starting March 17th with the center on the 20th to the 23rd. That starts the time period of major change. And then we add on to that the very best possibility for social change and justice and fairness would be in the time period of April 1st to the 4th would be the very best. So I think it will take until the very end of March and the very first part of April till mid-April where we will find some of the final effects of these Egyptian protests before we'll actually see Mubarak and his regime fall apart. More than likely, the major announcements will come sometime after April the 1st, but there's a very important event that on April the 6th in 2008 is an Egyptian workers and youth movement that is honored in Egypt. That's likely to be a very important date for the Egyptians, and we will likely see by mid-April some major announcements and some major changes that will actually affect most of the Arab world. So this is Naomi Bennett signing off for Learn Astrology Now.